Hey guys, so today's little vlog, getting some steps in before my long run today. I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of sustainable mindset or long-term mindset with fitness in general. So I'm this is probably going to be a little bit scattered because I don't know, for some reason I'm having a tough time focusing today, even more than normal. But I kind of wanted to talk about what's really helped me over the years with becoming more and more dialed in and just happier with my training in general, enjoying it more, to where like right now I'm in the best shape I've ever been in, for the most part, and overall I like training more than I ever have, and I think I'm probably at my leanest ever or close to it too, but that's less important. So for reasons I'll touch on. So I want to share, first off, it's going to be really individual, right? I kind of worry sometimes, because one of the biggest like self-doubts I have is worrying like that I come across as a narcissist, or that I might actually like be one, right? Because I mean, if you come across as one, they're like, you should probably consider the possibility that there might be some element of truth there. But the reason I'm so passionate about my progress and like why I get so excited with my like running PRs and all that, it's not, for me personally, it's not because like I want to impress people or anything, right? There was times in the past where I thought that's what I wanted, and I found really no satisfaction from it. When I share with like some of my friends and stuff about like my running progress or anything like that, it's not for their compliments or acknowledgement or congratulations or anything. That doesn't really like do anything for me. I don't really feel anything, not because I don't value their opinion, but just because I'm sharing it from a place of happiness with just accomplishing goals, that like I'm making dreams that I never thought I could actually, like, not even dreams, things I never thought I could ever do. I'm making them happen and I enjoy it. That's basically it. It's I got my start in fitness because I in like leading up to my freshman year of high school, I was really out of shape. I could, like, this hill over there, I don't know if it actually captured the my dad, who lives in Texas, was visiting one time, and I ballooned up in weight since he moved, since I had moved here. We went for a walk, and I was like, so I could like barely even walk up that hill. I was so gassed. I couldn't do a push-up, and I don't mean that like insultingly, like a lot of people can't. It's fine. I'm just giving a picture of where I was at. It was bad. I was getting huge migraines whenever I tried to go hiking with Dad again, because like I spent so much time like looking at a screen, or at least this is what it seems like it was. I spent so much time looking at a screen that like my just eyes couldn't handle all the stimulation or whatever. I don't know. I know it's not just a glasses thing, probably, unless my eyes have changed a lot, because I don't wear them now, and that's hasn't been a problem for me in like a decade or more. So and I struggled really, really bad with some fairly serious mental health issues. My anxiety was really bad. I could hardly ever sleep. I dealt with some kind of nasty bipolar stuff. I used to, I hated my body so much that I would fantasize about how if I would look at my belly fat or whatever, and I would just think of just daydream about how if I had a magic knife that could just cut the body fat off without hurting me or anything. I wasn't dreaming about mutilation or anything like that, thankfully. But I would just daydream about that constantly. I would do just think about all that all the time. Had some bad OCD stuff. Was washing my hands all the time so hard they bled. It was a bad time. Then I went into ROTC, and just my attention to detail, I guess, and my desire to do well at things got me some acknowledgement or whatever. And a couple of the older kids in Chief Pratt told me that I had big potential or whatever. I just needed to pursue it. And that kind of really drove me. And especially because I really looked up to military heroes at the time. So now again, it was ROTC, so physical fitness was a huge component of it. So in my mind, if I was going to be really good at it, and make it to the top or whatever, and in my mind, what I wanted to me, what that meant was helping other younger kids, those seniors and stuff, and Chief did for me. I obviously needed to be good at the fitness aspect of it. So I kind of threw myself into that, and it was sloppy. It was a lot of I was doing a lot of trendy stuff that I read on T-Nation articles. I don't even remember what my nutrition was at the time. I know for years I thought Bojangles, for example, was healthy because it was chicken, so it was high in protein, stuff like that. Going outside, doing runs, holding weights or whatever, because I just mentally thought well, anything that's harder is better. Kind of a self-punishment sort of thing of I had a weird purity mindset about it. Anyway, that's kind of how I got my start, right? Now that it's important to me, I talk about that because 12 years later, I'm this person now who kid me thought I never thought I could have been. Back then, running a sub 7 mile was an all-out effort. So, I did a couple of times. Senior year of high school, junior or senior year, I ran a single 540, 550, I don't know. It wasn't on a regulation track. I'm not going to claim it or anything like that. But just running it regularly or whatever. But the point is that was all-out effort for me. I never would have imagined to me at that point, a 21-minute 5K was comedically blessed. I went for a 10-mile run one time, either during senior year or shortly after, and I could barely walk for a few days. For years, running 4 miles was a death sentence for my knee. So for me now, after long time of pushing myself too far, giving up, coming back, pushing myself too hard, with the running and everything, getting to the point where I can actually consistently run, do these things that I thought I never could have done years ago, is it's just super rewarding for me. That's why I share it, because it's just like really exciting for me, and I want to share that excitement, and at the same time maybe like inspire other people. So, and just because I like talking about it, this is all a hobby of mine. It's really not any deeper than that. But for me though, training represents like listening to rock music or whatever, going in, reminding myself like who I am. I'm the guy who started out with so many challenges and everything, and even if I did it poorly a lot of the time and unsustainably, I kept trying and kept getting up after my screw ups and coming back a little bit better, and eventually clawed my way up here. So when I take my pre-workout and I listen to my stupid like early 2000s rock music or whatever, or my Dragon Ball playlist and stuff, and I have my like silly like skin tight running shirts on, that's why. It's just a self-actualization for me. That's what fitness is for me though, is the thing. And that's why I love it, because I can tell you that getting to a specific body fat or whatever, the validation you might think that comes from that is not nearly as rewarding as just the day-to-day satisfaction of being like, oh man, I don't know if I can work out today, and going like telling yourself like, I'll just go do a few sets or whatever, and going in and having like a great workout, or at least like an okay one, and being like, you know what, I tried. I kept up a hobby that I know is good for me, a habit, I mean. Or the like days where I have a really good workout and you set like a bunch of PRs or something, right? It's that day to day, month to month, year to year, slowly clawing your way up, that I think that's where the real like satisfaction lies. Even now, there is definitely some cool stuff of like, on average, if you go from like really unhealthy to like lean for you, because it's really relative to the individual, like better shape than you were in, on average, a lot of days you'll probably be happier. But it's not going to be a like cure-all. For me, like, there's still days I still have the problem of I see something like someone on social media or whatever who's way more ripped than me, like single digit body fat and a better runner and more jacked, and like way more jacked, we're saying, and also like twice, 2 or 3 times as strong as me or something. And like it makes me, there's times where like it makes me feel bad. I've just gotten better at like regulating it and taking a step back and going, okay, you like kind of, it's hard to describe the process, but it's taking a step back and going, that's not me. And remind myself like how far I've come, and that what I really enjoy is just the day-to-day process. And that day-to-day process is what gets you to the potential that you can sustain. So that self-loathing can be a powerful motivator, but it's usually not a long-lived one. You're not gonna see somebody way better than you at something, and it makes you feel so bad that every day you're just so miserable and like full of hate towards yourself that you just do a perfect routine and become just like them. That's not how it works, and it's a miserable way to do it. It's, you just do a little bit better, try a little bit harder than you did the day before. A lot of times you won't succeed. I don't PR on my runs every day. I don't PR on my weights every day. Never have, especially trying to balance both. For a long time you can, but not forever. You won't be in a calorie deficit every day, even if you're dieting. And if you are, like, and especially if you're like hungry all the time, like, it's not a sustainable approach. This comes from just on average, like here and there, doing a little bit better on, like, in the terms of weeks and months and years, right? Rather than trying to do a training montage every single day. Now, as far as goals, right? Picture, like, you just want to try, like I was saying, you just want to try to do a little bit better than you did. Having insanely high hopes for yourself is a good way to be disappointed with your progress. As much as I would love to, like, I used to want for, I mean, even earlier in this, like, I've been running consistently for a year now. My, when I started, like, when you start something, it's really easy, especially for someone who's competitive like me, to compare yourself to the best of the best at it. And then you get really disappointed when you don't measure up. That's not a good way to do it. Because let's say, like, you see that online, like, everybody will say, like, I don't know, you see someone bench 225 for 10 or something. But then you go to try it, and, like, let's say you're freakishly strong and you bench, well, not freakish, like, you're really strong and you bench press 225 for 1, 185 for 1, or 135 for 1, I don't know. And you feel bad about yourself because you're nowhere near what's considered good in your mind on a, like, quote unquote objective scale. And you go, man, I'm so, like, garbage at this, like, why should I even try? And then you either quit or you try, like, to do this ridiculously hard training that just beats you up more and more mentally and physically until you burn out. That's not how you do it. It's those, and I know, especially, again, if you're competitive, you don't want to make excuses for yourself or whatever, like, oh, but, like something is, like, a good score, so, like, why can't I do it? I don't want to make excuses. The people that are really great at stuff, especially, like, fitness, you have to keep in mind, not only these people have been doing it for years, and they had to start somewhere, but they're self-selected to be, like, gifted at it, right? How many people who have awful genetics for being strong keep training powerlifting for, like, 10, 15, 20 years, right? Like, if after a year or two of training, you've built, like, if after, like, 2 years of training, you built, like, 5 pounds of muscle, and you, like, a male number here, you can't bench press, like, your body weight yet, and you're, like, relatively, like, leaner. I'm not saying that's bad. Like, being active in general, it's good. I'm saying, like, how many people who are, like, low responders to training like that keep going for years, right? Or people who, well, basically, most of the people who stick to something for a long time, a lot of them are good at it because it's fun to be good at things. It's why I think, like, people, like, it's easier to be, like, on steroids and stuff and train really hard for a long time because, especially if you respond well to them, like, yeah, you're getting better all the time. You're high on testosterone or whatever, and you're seeing a bunch of progress. Like, of course, it's fun. Training is really fun when you're getting better all the time and, like, you're stronger than everybody you know. That's not the reality for most of us, though. We're looking on social media at the people who are not only in the gym population, which is already, like, going to specifically cultivate people who like it more and are a little bit more gifted for it. But then you're looking at the, like, top, like, fraction of a percent of those people. Like, you're looking at the guys who, like, the strongest dude at your gym like, would look up to. And that person, on top of that, has been working at this obsessively. Like, there's a decent chance this is literally an obsession for them. A lot of like influencers and stuff, like fitness influencers and everything, or like pro athletes, that's literally their job. They don't have to work full time and take care of a family or anything like that. Some of them do. I'm not discrediting them, but a lot of times they don't necessarily. And they might have started as like a young athlete to begin with. But they've been working obsessively at it for years. Decent chance they're taking drugs. And like, you can't, that's a really hard thing to determine. There is quick myth bust here. There is no such thing as a natural look versus an enhanced look. Lots of people take steroids, don't look like it. Lots of people don't take steroids and they're freaks and they're like huge. There's like a myth about like a shape of the shoulder or like a body fat percentage. It's nonsense. It's just genetic predispositions and stuff like that. Any world's strongest man is using a ton of gear, and they don't have a lot of them don't have like the quote unquote enhanced look of like the people think like, oh, the smaller waist and the like big round delts or whatever, or necessarily the acne, stuff like that. But yeah, drugs, a lot of them, like the really lean ones, there's a good chance they're hungry and low energy all the time in their day-to-day life, or they dedicated themselves to that for a few months to get like single-digit shredded body fat, and they take a bunch of pictures and videos and share that year-round. Or again, if they're on testosterone, like they don't have to worry as much about the lowered hormones that like a natural athlete might. They still do. They're not like invincible just because they're on gear, but it helps. But they might be hungry all the time, and the like lifetime of habits they built up to deal with that help. But they're still in a state that like a lot of us would consider a degree of suffering and not good for mental health, like reduced energy, reduced sleep quality, drastically like reduced like sex drive, and just like moving around day to day and passion and stuff. And they do that. A lot of them might be narcissists, but a lot of them it's because it makes them more money to look that way. And then on top of that, you're only seeing their curated photos and videos and all that. You're only seeing what they want you to see in addition. So it's like the top, comparing yourself to the, like beating yourself up because you're not the literal like 1 in a million type of person who already, like the 1 in a million most gifted person, they already can't do that. It's being like, man, like, it's like comparing yourself to like, oh, like this guy with, I hate like throwing IQ around or whatever, but like this guy with like 160 IQ after like years of like studying like 40 hours a week or whatever, like got like X score in like on their degree or whatever. Like, why am I struggling with this like my class or whatever? Like, you're comparing yourself to someone who is unreasonably gifted at that specific thing and made it their life. And then a lot of the best of the best also still do things that a lot of us would consider stupid. Abusing like hard stimulants to study longer or train harder or crush hunger. All sorts of ridiculous things. So for you, what's the point here? Like I said, I'm rambling a lot. Take where you're at now and just do your best that you can like sustain. Do a little bit more than you did yesterday. If you're a couch potato and you get 2,000 steps a day, go for a walk. Go for one walk. When you're not sore, go for another one. Go a little bit further. Once, like, do that for months and months and months. Maybe throw in a couple like Pilates, like YouTube workouts or whatever, where you just do like move your arms against like air, or like do like incline push-ups, like against, not incline, but like push-ups against a wall or something like that. Do that for months. And then, like, eventually, once you're to the point, like, you work up to being kind of active. Now you're getting, after like a year or two, you're getting 12,000 steps a day or whatever, and you're physically capable of like handling the challenges of your day-to-day life. If you're happy, cool, that's awesome. If you want to go the next step, like if you want to go from like baseline active to like sort of fit, start jogging a couple times a week. Start aiming for that 150 minutes a week of like moderate cardio. Get on a bike, go hiking, get 3.5 hours of like slightly out of breath cardio a week. Do a couple like basic, like beginner level, like body weight, like calisthenic training things at home, like start doing knee push-ups or regular push-ups, right? That kind of thing. Then you do that, you stay at that level and just push yourself a little bit more consistently. Do that for years. You're not in a hurry. If you're 60 even, I don't think anybody who's 60 is watching this, but if you're 60, give yourself 5 years of just kind of trying just a little bit more every like week, not even every day. You don't need to be better every day. If you were better every day, you'd be like a world-class athlete in a year. Doesn't work like that. Try to do a little bit better week in, week out. If you fail, hell yeah, you tried. That's what matters. You'll still get, like, your body will still improve from that. But like, again, if you're 60 and you do that, 5 years from now, you'll be in a level of fitness that like you at 60 would have killed to be at. You don't need to be like ripped super athlete in a week or whatever. In 5 years, the time is going to pass anyway. Just kind of try. If you're someone who's struggling, I promise you, I've been in love. I've experienced the highs of like mania from bipolar disorder and stuff. I'm like a happy drunk. Never done like hard drugs or anything like that, but all of those things, none of them compare to the self-satisfaction, in my opinion, of just getting to the point where something you thought you could never do becomes easy for you. If you just dedicate a few years to like an effort that is like reasonable for you, and you go from like I'm winded walking around the block, one day you'll be able to like fast walk around that block with your kids or whatever, and it's easy now. Something that used to be hard for you is now something you do like no effort at all, and you're like, this is awesome. Like, no amount of validation or like acknowledgement from other people will ever I don't give a damn what you say. It'll never compare. That's why I love my running and everything. The fact I could go for a 10-mile run, this is, again, don't compare yourself to me. This is just my personal level that I'm at right now. There's people that put me to shame. The fact I could go for a 10-mile run and the next day it's like I didn't even do anything, I can't describe how like happy that makes me. And I'm way beyond the point of diminishing returns. But if you get to that point of fitness and then you want to push a little bit more, you can keep going. Again, like I was saying, 60, 65, if you just, even at that point, at what a lot of people consider like old or whatever, you still have more than enough time to make an unbelievable amount of progress and transform your life. If you're young, forget about it. Like, you can basically almost completely nullify almost any amount of bad choices. There's some that are going to have permanent effects, but you'll still like turn around almost all of it. But yeah, it's just that day in, day out, aim to just be a little bit better than where you're at. And I promise you'll find the joy there. Don't worry about where you'd like to be. Like, don't worry about trying to be elite or whatever. Worry about that when you're almost elite. You don't become a like 2.5 hour marathon runner by being someone who can barely walk around the block and being like, oh man, I'm gonna run as hard as I can, then feel like shit about myself when I can't even maintain that pace for 1/4 of a mile. It's not how it works. You worry about that 2.5 hour marathon when you're a like 2 hour 45 minute marathoner. You don't worry about benching 225 when you can't do a push-up, all right? You worry about benching 225 when you bench 220. That's it. So yeah, I know this kind of went off on a tangent, but it's just something I'm really passionate about. And despite like how I might come off as a narcissistic or whatever, it's something that like, this is what keeps me going. I deal with depression a lot of the time. I've spent years at this, few years at this point, like depressed off and on because like I lost my best friend, because of my own screw ups and because I was a damned idiot. I'll most likely never like marry or have kids because I'm like psychotic, blah, 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 life stuff. It doesn't matter. This isn't meant to be a pity party, but I found a way to find things that do make me happy, and it's hard. It's hard a lot of days, but I want other people to have that because I know I try to be vocal about my mental health struggles because I don't want people to think that you can only like everything has to be perfect for you to be happy, right? For me, it's fitness. For other people, I don't know, it might be art, might be singing, might be like your job or whatever, being a better spouse, being a better parent or whatever. It just depends on the person. But I do at least promise that if you improve your physical fitness, at least to a point where you're like functional in day-to-day life and you can look back a few years and be like, man, I've come a long way, and I can like be proud of like what I've done here. I promise it'll help. It won't cure everything. No matter how ripped or strong or whatever you get, it won't like make life like rainbows and sunshine and all that. But man, it sure as hell helps. It doesn't have to be a ridiculous level. It's just challenging yourself a little bit more, doing a little bit better, and taking solace that you gave it your all in a healthy, sustainable way. That's what's important to me. That's what I want to share with people. Don't hate yourself, or try to hate yourself a little bit less every day. It's not as easy as just don't compare yourself to others. You probably will. I still do. But try to aim over the months to be a little bit nicer to yourself. Try when you find yourself like beating yourself down, just try to build a habit of reminding yourself of like, well, this time I handled this crisis a little bit better than last time. It still hit me. Still had an anxiety attack. Was still depressed. I don't want to get into gruesome details, but like, I've had friends who self-harmed and everything. Their progress looked like, last time I did X thing, this time instead it was like a rubber band or something, or like holding an ice cube or something like that. And I know it's hard to hear. It's like upsetting for a lot of people, but it's really, no matter where you're at now, you can just try to move, just try to, on average, every time a bad day is a bad day, try to make that bad day a little bit better than the last time. Even just 0.1%. Take just a couple more steps. Get up, walk for 3 minutes. If you can't manage it, that's fine. Forgive yourself. Try again next time, right? It's just gradual. 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 4 steps forward, 5 steps back, 6 steps forward, 2 back. Like, you don't know. But things can get better. And it's worth it. It's way more worth it than any amount of like I love yous or like gifts or acknowledgement or like cool pictures on social media or compliments or whatever. It's way more worth it than any of that. No amount of validation from other people will ever match, like I'm going on and on about here, no amount of it will ever match the validation from yourself when 10 years down the road, those like 1% improvements every month or something like that culminate in you looking back and being like, damn, my bad day was again, I'm just using a fitness example here. Don't compare yourself. It's relative to your own goals and everything. My bad day back then looked like sleeping for 12 hours and eating like a carton of ice cream. Bad day now, 10, 15 years later, if it's the same thing but half a quart of ice cream, hell yeah, you're doing better. That's all that matters. Maybe it'll be your bad day now looks like I only did a 5-mile like jog because I was in a horrible mood, instead of going for a 10-mile run like normal. That's what it was for me the other day. I was in a horrible mood because I got a raise at work and immediately found out that I'm again the only employed person at my house. I was in a rancid mood, got on the call with my dad and just told myself like, I can jog at least. I know I can jog just a little bit. And I just kept going from there. It was 5 miles. That's not a ton for me, but I did something. So yeah, this went on way longer than it was supposed to, but I hope it was inspiring for somebody. And hope you guys are having a good Sunday. I'm going to go hit up my long run, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.